Now that we uploaded our image to Docker Hub, I will now explain to you how to run this app on Kubernetes. Let's run our newly built application on a new Kubernetes cluster. Before we can launch a container based on this image, we need to create a pod definition. A pod describes an application running on Kubernetes. A pod can contain one or more tightly coupled containers that make up the app. Those apps can easily communicate with each other using their local port numbers. So if you would have another app, you can just connect to that app on that port. Our app only has one container. To make this app running on your Kubernetes cluster, you create a pod file, for instance pod helloworld.yml with the pod definition. This .yml file is in YAML format. If you want to know more about the YAML format, then you can just look it up on Google. It starts with the API version, it's v1. This is a pod definition, so you say kind pod. You can provide metadata, you can give your pod a name. This pod is named node.helloworld.example.com. We can also give it a label. Later on we can easily filter on labels. This pod has the label app as a key, hello world as a value. In spec you're going to put the container definitions. We only have one container, so we're going to give it a name. The name of this container is Kubernetes demo, and the image refers to the image that we uploaded to Docker Hub. First your login, Ward Viana is my login, then slash, and then the repository name. The ports that you want to expose on this pod. Here I'm going to expose container port 3000. You can use kubectl to create the pod on the Kubernetes cluster. You just use kubectl create -f and then the path to this YAML file. All these YAML files are bundled in another GitHub repository. The URL of that GitHub repository you can find in the procedure document again. Here are then some useful commands that you can use on pods. I will just briefly go over the list now, and then I will then show them in action during the demos. kubectl get pod gets information about all the running pods. So once you create a new pod, it's probably the first command that you're going to execute. kubectl describe pod, and then you can insert the pod name, describes just one pod. So this gives you more information. kubectl expose pod and then a pod name, and then a port and a name. This exposes a port of a pod, so it creates a new service, and then you can connect to your Kubernetes cluster on that port, and then it will redirect to your pod. kubectl port forward, and then a pod name, and then a port number. You can port forward the exposed pod port to your local machine, and then on your local machine you can go to that port, and then it will port forward to the pod. You can also attach a pod to see what is really happening in your pod. You can execute commands on the pod. So this then just executes a command in the container. If you have multiple containers, you can specify specific containers using -c. Otherwise, it will just take the first container. You can still label pods after they have been created. So if you want to add another label, then we can do it like this. And then this is very useful for debugging. You can run a shell in a pod, and then you're going to run kubectl. You're going to specify an image, and the image can be busybox. And busybox is a very small image that can start you a shell. And when you have a shell, you can debug anything that goes wrong much easier, because then you are in a new pod and you can connect to your other pod that maybe is malfunctioning. In the next demo, I will then show you how to launch this pod.